the shadowed depths of an unrelenting wilderness lies a spectacle both grotesque and captivating. An elephant gripped by a serpentine horror, its immense frame scarred and ravaged by a relentless infestation of snakes. This is not merely an injury, but a living nightmare etched across leathery skin, mottled with bleeding sores and festering wounds. Imagine, if you can, the raw, exposed flesh writhing with venomous invaders, scales slick with the remnants of dried blood, their slender bodies twisting and contorting as they burrow deeper into the vulnerable tissues. The elephant's breathing is heavy, each exhalation punctuated by a disturbing symphony of wet hisses and the squelching sounds of flesh under a solid tenant. What you witness is a dark saga of nature's brutal balance undone, a visceral story that forces one to confront the macabre undercurrents of survival. Beneath this shocking tableau lies a complex biological and ecological enigma. Snake infestation, in this context, occurs when venomous snakes exploit wounds or weaken skin to establish a grotesque parasitic relationship with the host. These snakes feed on the elephant's blood and tissue fluids, their bites injecting potent toxins that slow healing and invite secondary infections by opportunistic bacteria and fungi. The elephant, in its majestic agony, becomes a breeding ground for these cold-blooded predators, each snake a living weapon of biochemical warfare. In the remote depths of a shadowy rainforest, where the dense canopy swallows the light, and the silence is broken only by the rustle of unseen creatures, a silent horror unfolds. Here, among the verdant leaves and tangled roots, a magnificent jaguar prowls, a creature usually emblematic of ferocity and grace. Yet, beneath its sleek fur lies a grotesque secret, a festering wound, riddled with bulbous, weevil-like cocoons pulsing with vile intent. This is no ordinary mark of the wild. It is the gruesome footprint of parasitic dominion. The jaguar's once supple, golden tawny coat stretches awkwardly over these sinister bulges, where swollen skin distorts its powerful musculature. Each cocoon looks like a miniature, pearlescent nightmare attached by filaments so fine they glisten like spider silk, but with an unsettling wetness, like the beast carries a hidden colony of living, writhing pests beneath its majestic armor. To an untrained observer, it might seem almost alien, an invasive bloom of grotesque fruit on the jungle's apex predator. But here's the biological truth: these parasites represent an intimate, brutal relationship, an ecological war waged invisibly under the surface of the jaguar's tough exterior. Embedded within these sacs are larvae of a blood-sucking insect, tiny vampires that burrow into the tissue to feed on the jaguar's life force. Their presence chronic and relentless. Each larval cocoon is a tiny incubator, nurturing a horde ready to burst forth, devour, and perpetuate their grotesque life cycle. The wounds they create ooze a dark mucus, mingled with necrotic tissue, creating a breeding ground for secondary infections, a toxic beneath the serene canopy of the African savanna, where the gentle giants roam in quiet majesty. A grim spectacle unfolds: an elephant, wounded and snared in the merciless grasp of a beehive infestation. At first glance, this creature, seemingly immortal in its strength, reveals a grotesque wound festering with swarms of relentless bees. The once smooth, wrinkled skin is now a gnarled, oozing sore, a battlefield where nature's smallest warriors wage a savage war against an animal centuries larger than they. This haunting image pulls you in, an unsettling puzzle. How could these insects, so minuscule in comparison, carve such torment into a titan of the wild? What dark story does this festering hive tell? Here, in the shadowy intersection of animal life and microbial warfare, the disturbing truths of survival and symbiosis unfold. Elephants, majestic and formidable, are known for their thick skin, a robust shield against many dangers. Yet it is precisely this canvas that some species of bees have turned into a grotesque fortress. The bees choose to settle on weakened skin, spots that have been scratched raw, rubbed by thorns, or compromised by infections. Once the protective barrier is breached, they begin their slow colonization. The hive, an elaborate labyrinth of wax and venom, grows and throbs with life on the elephant's body. The stings inflicted are not random acts of defense, but a calculated siege, injecting venom that triggers furious swelling and relentless pain. The insect's venom is a biochemically complex cocktail, causing tissue necrosis that leaves the elephant vulnerable to secondary infections. The elephant's agonized attempts to rid itself of its tormentors result in self-inflicted damage, rubbing, scraping, and twisting its body against rocks and trees, deepening the injury and worsening the festering wound. This bee infestation is not a simple parasitic attack. It is a grim exhibition of nature's brutal efficiency. Each sting injects venom that contains melatonin and phospholipase A2, compounds that break down cell membranes and spread inflammation. The hive rapidly expands, expanding its grip and opening the elephant's flesh to bacterial colonization. Maggot-like flies may now be drawn to the necrotic tissue, turning the wound into a chorus of microscopic, grotesque life forms feeding on flesh and fluids. The smell is a sickening mixture of rot, decay, and sweet honey, a paradox as horrid to imagine as it is real. The anatomical devastation is profound. Beneath the cold, jagged peaks where silence reigns supreme, a creature of stunning beauty hides a grotesque secret. This snow leopard, a phantom of the mountains draped in mist and shadow, carries an unnatural horror on its flanks, a parasitic floral wound that festers like a blooming nightmare. It's not a blossom born of earthly gardens, but a gruesome invasion of spindle-like tendrils, purple, swollen, that burrow deep into flesh, pulsing with a sickly vitality that grotesquely contrasts with the animal's elegant form. This wound, a living infestation, seems part flower and part horror, thriving at the expense of its host, blurring the boundary between predator and prey in a macabre twist of nature's perverse creativity. Closer inspection reveals a darker layer of decay barnacles. The notorious crustacean hitchhikers of the seas have brutally adapted to an unimaginable environment, fastening themselves to the snow leopard's lieutenant. These tiny calcif beneath the icy waves of the northern seas drifts a ghostly figure, a white whale caught in a relentless struggle, not just for survival, but against a horrifying clam-ridden affliction that is as repulsive as it is fascinating. Imagine the pristine, alabaster skin of this majestic creature now scarred and festering, riddled with gaping wounds where clamshells, like twisted parasites, burrow deep into flesh. These aren't your everyday barnacles casually hitching a ride. This is a gruesome invasion, a dark symbiosis of infection and decay that turns the whale's body into a barren battlefield. Each clam, with its hard, jagged edges, preys cruelly into the whale's flesh, leaving open sores weeping a salty mixture of blood and seawater, a grotesque testament to nature's harsh realities. The clam infestation is more than skin deep. These relentless bivalves latch onto the whale's exposed flesh, their rough shells grinding against delicate tissue as they embed themselves. As the clams settle into their unwilling host, they exploit the whale's wounds for shelter and sustenance, feasting on the whale's blood and causing continuous irritation, swelling, and systemic infection. The skin around these clam colonies peels away, revealing red, inflamed patches pulsating with life and rot intertwined. Over time, the whale's vigorous blubber, responsible for insulation and buoyancy, deteriorates, weakening the creature against the deadly cold and predators lurking in the depths. And yet, in this vicious cycle of parasitism in the heart of a sun-drenched backyard, a scene unfolds that is both captivating and grotesque. A dog, once a joyful companion, now lies in a state of distress, its body marred by a horrific snake bite. The wound, a gaping maw of raw flesh, oozes a mixture of blood and venom, a testament to the brutal encounter with one of nature's most feared predators. As the camera zooms in, the viewer is drawn into the unsettling reality of this moment. The dog's fur, once a vibrant coat of golden hues, is now matted and stained, clinging to the skin like a shroud of despair. The air is thick with tension, a palpable reminder of the fragility of life and the lurking dangers that can strike without warning. The snake, a creature of stealth and precision, has left its mark not just on the dog, but on the very fabric of the ecosystem. Snakes, often misunderstood and demonized, play a crucial role in maintaining the balance of nature. They are both predator and prey, a vital link in the food chain. However, when their habitats are encroached upon by human development, these serpents are forced into closer proximity with our beloved pets. A tragic intersection of two worlds, where the innocent suffer the consequences of human expansion. As we delve deeper into the anatomy of the snakebite, we uncover the chilling details of what happens when venom enters the bloodstream. The venom, a cocktail of enzymes and toxins, begins to wreak havoc almost immediately. It disrupts the normal functioning of the dog's body, causing swelling, pain, and in severe cases, organ failure. The once vibrant energy of the dog is replaced by lethargy. As the body fights a battle against an unseen enemy, the wound itself is a grotesque sight. The flesh around it is necrotic,